on it. Oh, there we go. We are live. What
Yeah.
is up, ladies and gentlemen? Jason O'Neill here, Mr. Jerry Mills. What's up, Jerry?
What's happening, buddy? What is
Man, I'm
going
excited.
on?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk about this stuff today. What we're going to be
That's,
talking about today is
oh, man.
inspiration, right? How to get what
Mm.
you want out of life, right? A lot of us have heard that Zig Ziglar phrase. What is it? You will get all you want in life if you help other people get what they want out of life. So that's what today is all about. It's about influence. It's about the law of reciprocity. It's about how you go from wherever you are right now to wherever you want to be through being a servant leader, through giving
Yes.
back, through serving people to the best of your
Yep.
ability. And that's something that's hit very close to home for me. I think it's hit close to home for you, Jerry.
Right.
Been able to have a lot
Yeah,
of success over the last couple of years, because of that, because of what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm excited, man. How are you excited?
dude, this is awesome. And we were talking about this earlier that, that there's so many people out there, and whether it's like some of our experiences where we've worked for companies and you knew that, the manager, the person, they're just trying to, they don't have your back, they're trying to use you. You feel like you're used and part of the machine. To people online or on the internet trying to make money, that they're showing you, oh, here's all the money you can make, but they're not really interested in you, helping you out. They're really just trying to rope you into what their latest shenanigan is, probably, right?
That's it. I just got back from the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within event a few weeks ago, and one thing that he was talking about at the event, as he was walking up and down the aisles, just all intense and everything, he was just talking about like the industry like that he's in, and I think it like
Mm-hmm.
really is true in almost any industry. How like he's embarrassed about like the way that some people act, the way
Yeah.
that some people treat other people, the way that he calls them charlatans. Like the way that
Mm-hmm.
some people go out there and their method of serving, their method of earning is by deceit and by telling people things that aren't necessarily 100% true. So it's our goal to be able to provide to you maybe like a different lens for you to be able to identify sometimes when that's happening in your world, so you don't like follow the
Absolutely.
wrong people. Right? It's about following the right people in a way, having the right coaching, having the right
Right.
mentors. That's a big part of getting what you want out of life, is choosing the right people that you hang out with. You choose the wrong people, you lose that. You don't only lose that day, but in some cases you lose lots of credibility and all sorts of good stuff. Because what do we
Yeah.
say? Like,
That's
people
it.
have an idea of what they want, right? Like, right? People have an idea of what they want.
Sure. Yeah, and I think you're hitting on something that's a great point. That your credibility, your name, you only, you that can be squandered in an instant, right? And especially in the internet age, where all it takes is, somebody to be like, okay, here's a video of this person, not being true to what they said. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of skepticism out there because there's so many people out there who aren't operating with integrity, that aren't operating from that place of wanting to be a servant leader, that to
Hmm.
have that level of contribution, like you talked about, Tony Robbins. You went to the LA Unleash the Power Within. Alex and I went to the one here in Chicago. But that higher value of contribution, and being able to operate in integrity, so that you you experience that benefit yourself of
Hmm.
seeing others succeed and living a life that's congruent with the values that we have, because we all want the same thing. We want to be, happy. We want our families to have that security and freedom. We want to see our friends and those we know do well, be happy, healthy, and free to live the lives they want. So there's so many people out there, and you and I know, from our experience, people out there that, that are just really hucksters, that are just peddling things. And one of the things that I love about our tribe, our group here with the Outsourced Lifestyle, is we've been doing it for 2 years, and we have so many people that are actually having real success, that are having the freedom for their families in their lives. That's why we're starting the podcast and this web show now, the Zero to Hero show, is because it's been a couple years of building this. So now we have we've earned the right to talk about it because it's true, it's real, it's not some dream, it's not some new marketing creation that we put together. This is actually happening. It's been happening, and it's happening for lots of people, so that we can talk about this with authenticity and with integrity.
Yeah, so you just hit on a couple really, really important points there. Shifting our focus first from like what we need in our life to providing value to other people. So I think what's like really made our group so successful over the last couple years isn't so much like, okay, we sell a bunch of stuff on Amazon. Yeah, that's great and all, but like really what fills me up inside is knowing that I'm providing opportunities for people, right? Like I have people who come to work every single day and they count on me to help them be able to get what they want out of their life through the form of paying them a salary to come do something for me. Like that could be listing products, that could be processing orders, that could be working with me in-house, like some people that work with me here, like Matt, he works for me and he's awesome, right? Like I get to help them by giving back that will allow them to move their life forward. I couldn't do it all. I know that on my own. So like what makes our group so awesome is I think that I can really speak for a lot of people is it really fills them up with fulfillment and gratitude knowing that they're helping someone else be able to provide, and in turn that person that they're helping allows them to also grow as a person and get that fulfillment out of their life because they're growing by helping someone else, and they're also growing financially by that person being able to help them, and that
Right.
it's a like reciprocal relationship, right? Like that's how the concept really works. Like I think a lot of people probably hear like if you help enough people get what they want, then you're going to get what you want, but they're not being real creative with the way that they can help people. Sometimes they think that they need to help people by the whole like act as if it's already happening when it's not really already happening. The person who's going to teach someone how to make $250 an hour, in the MLM market when, in all reality, they make $250 in a month and they made $250 in 1 hour, right? But they don't make that every single hour, but they're leading people to believe that, hey, it's easy to make $250 an hour. So like they're starting those relationships off and on the wrong foot. They're starting off with a little bit of deceit, a little bit of deception to convince someone that they're worth following. And like I think where a lot of people falter is they think that they have to really fake it to make it. So they get wrapped up in like this world of like, they're so busy trying to convince everybody else that they're having success, and they're not really focused on like what they can do in their life to offer value, to offer guidance to other people around them, to grow like a tribe of people in their life, right? Like that's ultimately what it's about, is growing our little tribe and helping our tribe move forward with whatever it is what they want. Because like if we're able to help people, like in my group, in our group, I should say, like if I know if I'm successful with people having success, then I'm going to be successful because I get to use those results as a means of getting my message out there to more and more people. So like my way of giving back is giving like every single thing that I have up front to people and helping them overcome a lot of the roadblocks mentally, emotionally, because that's ultimately what it comes down to, is like getting over those like emotional hurdles that we have to go through in order to invite success into our life, right? So like that's my contribution, is by sharing my way, like my failures and my struggles throughout the last couple years. And it like really goes not just the last 2 years, but it's all the 15 years before the last 2 years where I was really down and out, and I get to be able to save people time.
Hey, Jason, we have a little video hiccup there, so I think we are catching up on our feed, but it's a little it's freezing a little bit on my end, so I'm just gonna. I see it's a little splotchy. I'm not hearing you right now. Um, yeah, so I'm just gonna jump in here, and maybe we can get that audio fixed up here as we move along. But Jason's talking about just that the background that you have, your story. That's a value. It was a value of Jason. And it was those 15 years he was mentioning. They all had a purpose. He went through life learnings and life lessons, and we've all done that. Whether this is your first time trying to transition out of your job, maybe you've tried the network marketing model, or I always laugh with my mom. I don't know if you've seen this, Jason, but it seems like there's always different ladies in town that are having some sort of party. You gotta come over, they're having jewelry, and she's always like, well, I better buy just one, or Pampered Chef, or Tupperware, So you see the reciprocity involved. It's like, I'm gonna throw this party. Okay, well, I want to go support her, so I'll just buy something small, But you see that. Maybe you've tried some of that. Maybe you've tried something, insurance or some other financial services. But I tell you what, in my experience, I tried different income models or jobs, just trying to find that freedom for my family, so we could be able to pursue our interests in the arts and in acting and music and in nonprofit and the church and everything, and and they all had a purpose. But sometimes you might be out there, and if you're watching this right now on YouTube and feeling like, man, I've tried this, I tried the whatever network marketing company, I tried selling this lotion, this potion, this insurance, and then you start saying, well, nothing works, and we're here to tell you that there's no better time to be alive right now than here, because of the power and scale of the internet and e-commerce with Amazon, because everybody, no matter what, is going to be buying and selling till the end of time. So if you're out there and you've been discouraged because you feel like everybody's been there to try and take from you, we're here to give you hope and say that there is hope, that there is possibility out there, and we're sharing with you some of our experiences to give you that hope, because somebody did that for us too. If Jason and I hadn't had somebody say, no, here is something that works, that is useful, that you can find the freedom and success in, then we wouldn't be here today. So we're here to tell you that there is hope, and when he's talking about this law of reciprocity, it's our hearts to be servant leaders and to help people say, as somebody gave to us, we want to reciprocate and give back and say, there's many ways, whether it's online, offline, but that reciprocity means somebody is extending their hand first to say, I want to help you, and by helping you, I'm going to get the benefit of, it feels good. That feels good, and maybe it's going to help a business or something else. And Jason's talking about all the things he's been giving up front, and I can vouch for that because Alex and I have been a part of that the last 2 years. He's giving and helping, and you know what he earned? At first it was like people saying, he's awesome, I can say the same thing. I spent 2 years traveling the country coaching C-suite senior executives as they transitioned, as they were downsized from their previous company. They needed a hand. I helped them get their resume fixed up, get their interviewing skills, helping them understand how to network to find their next position, and not just a job, but what they really wanted to do. And I tell you what, it was so beneficial to me because I have over 500 connections on LinkedIn and all these testimonials of people saying thank you for helping with that. And we can all say that. The Bible says it: give and it will come back to you. So that law of reciprocity, right? Giving. Jason's been talking about that, doing that with our group, and now we have hundreds of people who are making thousands of dollars a month online on Amazon. But not just that, we have people who have joy, who have hope, who have time, freedom to spend on what they enjoy doing, just like our family does here in Chicago. So I think that We've got some audio video fixed here. I see Jason's mug over there in sunny Florida.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, buddy.
All right, I switched my microphone out, so it's probably not as good. I'm using my webcam microphone now, but that's cool. I got to hear you at least, so yeah. You know, so there's three kinds of people in the world, really, and I can you know specifically talk to those three types of people, because like we have really good examples of all three types in our group. And like there's people who are givers, right? There's people who give without expecting anything in return, and generally those people are living their lives with the most joy, right? Like they're the happiest ones because they're just filled up by the fact that they're giving back, they're providing value into the world. A perfect example of that is Linda Trotman, right? Like she's selflessly always giving of herself inside of what's that?
The queen bee.
Right? I mean, you know, Linda, you know, what's awesome about her is she went through 40 years worth of struggle in terms of trying to build a business, you know, and she tried it. This is network marketing, MLM, whatever, and she was always like the firecracker. From what I can probably gather, I can't, like, she's 60 some years old. I don't exactly know how old, but you know, she runs circles around people who are like half of her age at this point.
She seems like she's in her
because she gets so much.
We want to point that out.
Right? Yeah.
Seems like she's in her late 30s, right?
I agree. Seems like she's just a young buck right out of school, you know, just getting going in life, excited about every single day. And she's just a classic example of just having the right mindset towards life, that as she's started receiving success in her life, she gives back in the form of helping other people without really expecting anything in return. And she's like the perfect example. I know that she's really been an inspiration to a lot of people in our group, and it's like working with people like her. I can tell you, and people like you and Alex, you guys make all of this so worth it for me to deal with the other types of people that are out there. Which, you know, you have the takers, right? Like you have people who only want to come and they want to absorb, right? They want to take everything that you have, but they don't want to give anything in return, right? They want to. The only time that you hear from them is when they need help. They're not offering help to anybody else that's looking for help, right? They don't ever come in and offer solutions. They just come in and just try to steal the energy. And like I don't like working around takers, because like they really do suck my energy up, because I generally try to be extremely positive. And when I see people that like all they do is come steal my soul and steal my energy, it's like,
vampires.
Energy vampires.
I've heard them called energy vampires.
Yeah, energy vampires. So there's plenty of examples. Like I could probably name off, 15 people off the top of my head that really nice people, but probably on like a one-on-one, like I wouldn't want to really hang out with them. I'm not gonna like call them on the phone and be like, hey, why don't we get together and have dinner or something? Because all they want to do. I actually have friends over the last couple of years that I've really cut off because they're takers. Like the only time I hear from them is when they need something from me. Even like now that some of them are doing the drop shipping business, like they kind of like, because I'm their friend and I'm their lifelong friend, right? Like it's my duty to help them, and the only time that they offer anything in return is when they need something from me, right? And those people, like they're I would much rather work with the people who are giving back and that are accepting the success that they're having, because they're paying everything forward in a way that creates value, it creates joy, it creates hope. And that's what's so great about our community, is like that's the type of people that we do attract. And some of the wrong ones get in. It's not like we have this background check where they're like, are you a giver or are you a taker? Like we can't control that.
People, it comes out in the wash, doesn't it? People eventually, you see their true colors. And you know what? Sometimes the best thing for those people is that they maybe receive tough love, and we've all gone through lessons in life where we've had to say, okay, I can't enable that bad behavior, so I'm sorry, Yeah, it's totally Hey, dial your volume down a little bit. The feedback just got worse. So let's see. That's better. Yeah, there we go. Can you, as long as you can still hear me, or you could read my lips. Say what? No, I
I'm gonna get a
remember
headphone for our future stuff.
when I lived in New York. I remember I met a. You know, you're always meeting different people, and sometimes you're like, okay, cool, because you meet people from all over the world. I remember meeting this guy. I think he was from Kenya and everything through another friend, and which is interesting. This other friend, he got lost, couldn't find our place, and it was a grid. You know, it was Upper West Side. So I'm thinking, how do you get lost? These are grids. These are city blocks. But anyway, this guy was like, hey man, we should like grab a cup of coffee. You know, I'd like to hear more of your story. Blah blah blah. And this guy never wanted to get together. And then one day I get a call. I'm like, oh, this guy Chuck, I believe his name was. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I want to get together with you and everything." I was like, "Oh okay." Well, he basically wanted. He was in an MLM, and so I realized this guy he's just a taker, you know. So I was like, "No thanks, I'll pass." Pass. And so sometimes the best thing for people is that they get passed on, and maybe then they realize, "Hey, I've got some of my own stuff to work on." You know, so that can be a gift too for people, right? Is not allowing them to take anymore. You know, seeing that maybe help shine a light on the consequences of how that affects others, and maybe they can grow to be get to that level of being a caring adult or something like that. You know, I'm sure we've all had our own moments like that too, where we've had to, you know, be checked, you know, be corrected, and be like, okay, I'd being kind of a jerk, you know. I didn't realize how focused on me I was. So I don't know, that kind of made me think about what you're talking about with the takers out there.
Yeah, you know, it, interesting point that you make there. So what you can do, by the way, is when I'm going, you can mute yourself, mute your microphone,
Yeah.
because I can hear myself through the speakers now.
Oh, okay.
So once you mute, cool. Yeah, so that helps out. That helps with some of the feedback issues that we have. So, you know, it's awesome, guys. On our first episode, we told you that we're making a run at this. We've got content planned out for the rest of the year, every single Wednesday at what is it? 1 o'clock Eastern time, 12 o'clock Central time. So we're doing the 1% rule right here. We're just kind of figuring this out. We're building the plane on the way down. So we have some feedback issues, we have some technical issues, and that's just like one of the fun things that I love about being an entrepreneur is you know, kind of like fumbling forward, and you know, because like the way that I've learned is like one of the ways that I like to give back to people is by showing them like the actual real process of being an entrepreneur, and that's a very imperfect process. It's the ability to go out there and make mistakes and kind of learn from your mistakes and share what you learned along the way to help someone not make those same mistakes, right? So like that's how I like to give back, and I'm certainly not a perfect person. I just know that whenever I deal with takers, I just repel them, you know. I tell them, listen, you know, like I'm not gonna like publicly put something out there. I'm just gonna like, you go on your way and you do things the way that you want to do them, and like, you know, you're welcome to be, you know, around, but if you know, if I find you stealing too much energy, we'll have to, you know, remove you from the energy circle. You know what I mean? And then so that leads us to the last type of person, which is the matchers, right? Those people who will only help you out if you're willing to help them out, right? Like it's kind of like, it is a reciprocal relationship, but it's still not exactly like where you want to be. Like you want to be around people, guys, like if you want to invite success into your life, you want to be around people who are giving value, who are actually out there selflessly serving, because those people are going to lift you up to be the kind of person that's going to invite the right kind of people towards you. Like sometimes, like when we're down and out and we're in a tough place, we you know, that's when we tend to find ourselves taking, because like we don't know any better other than to like take. But like when we start seeing like when we start like seeing some levels of success in certain areas, like we have to be willing to give back to those who are just like starting out. And that's kind of the transition period, I think, for a lot of people. Like we were just talking about this a little earlier about like, people who have a lot of success, right? And they start off just like everybody else, where they're in the very, very beginning of the journey. And in the beginning, like, everybody asks the same newbie questions, right? They ask the same exact questions over and over and over. Every single week you have new people who enter in, and they're asking the same questions that was asked, like, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, a year ago. And it's the natural inclination to be like, geez, like, I've answered this question 1,000 times. Like, really, do I have to answer it again? But like, you got to understand, like, people are always starting from like where you've already been. So like it's our duty as servant leaders to be able to help the newer people be able to like learn. That way they don't have to go through the learning process. So like you can identify takers by the people who like get the information, they absorb it, they do well with it, but they don't give back in any way. And that's like, it's not a real fulfilling way to be, because they're always stressed out. Like, you can identify them, they're always worried about like what might happen, like, oh shit, Amazon might suspend me, or something, like, what happens if this goes away? Like, they tend to live their life in a constant state of paranoia. And you can identify takers and even matchers by like, you can identify them by not wanting to like willingly openly give information out, like secrets of the trade that they might have figured out. They don't want to like give that to someone because they're worried that someone's going to take it from them. Like they're protecting their ball, like a dog, right? Like, you get a dog, you try to get the ball from him, he runs away from it, right? Like, they don't ever like let you just come take the ball. They're protecting it. And that's kind of like how like takers out there actually treat other people. They take that information that they learn and they guard it. Like, it's like, oh, I had to get this information through the hard work. There's no way I'm going to help you get it without you having to go through all the pain that I had to go through in order to get that. So that's a difference between like a Linda, right, that's out there that's sharing the information to people who ask her, and we have people I know in our program that pay, anywhere from $8,000 to $25,000 to be in our high-level coaching program. And, like, I get it. Not everybody can afford that. Does that mean that they're not entitled to getting help from other people who are having success? Like, it'd be ridiculous of me to say, like, you're not allowed to go help someone that's not in the inner circle, right? Like, that wouldn't be, like, serving through, like, a way of, like, really putting people over profit, right? Like, I'm reading a book called People Over Profit. Really good book, by the way, and they talk about like, obviously, I think the book kind of speaks for itself, the title of the book, right? Like, it talks about like the way that you treat people, and the way that you go about your daily business should be from a place of giving back to the best of your ability. That doesn't mean that you should be a doormat for other people, right? But you should give back in the best way that you possibly can, even if that means that you learned one thing today. You can give back by sharing that one thing that you've learned, because like, all I've done over the last couple of years is I've learned hundreds of things, but like, every single thing you learn one at a time, right? So like, usually the way that the journey works is like, you're sharing that one thing as you learn, right? Like, what is it? Stay one step ahead. All you got to do is be one step ahead.
One trick ahead of the dog.
Yeah. And that's kind of the concept of being a giver. You don't have to know it all. Like, you don't have to be the guru. I think a lot of people feel that they have to be the guru before they are the guru, right? And you never get to be the guru unless you're willing to build your audience, and the way that you build your audience is by giving back, helping people. And that's the natural progression towards life. So a good book on the subject of building an audience is called Tribes by Seth Godin. And he talks about it. Like, this is the way of the new world, right? Like, we can compete at this point as like small, entrepreneurs that are working out of our third bedrooms. Like, we don't need these big fancy operations that like a Walmart has in order to run a successful company. because we can connect with people all the way across the world, and we can help people all the way across the world. Like I have people that work, we both have people that work for us all, like halfway around the globe, and we're providing opportunities for them so they can bring cash flow into our business. And then what happens when we do that? Then we can create new opportunities and bring new jobs here. Like we're creating jobs right now here at the Outsourced Lifestyle. We have one of our members of our group is going to be coming on board with us, and he's working on a brand new project that we're looking to get off the ground. That way we can offer more value to our community and to our group by solving more of their problems. So like this all happens because like I have people halfway around the world that are helping me out, like that are helping our business out, you know, and like and it's just like one little lesson at a time and one little project at a time, and sharing what's going on that makes the world a difference. Like being willing to do that. You know, it really is. It's the difference between maybe making millions of dollars versus, you know, making a good living at something. You know, it's our ability to give back to the world, the best of our ability. Like, not everybody's going to relate to us. Not everybody's going to like be like, oh, I like that guy. Some people are probably hearing me talk. They're like, not a big fan. Don't really like what he's saying. But there's other people who are like, I love it. I love it. Like, I connect with you. Like, I hear people like when we talk. Like, I mean, it really is a lot of times. It's like, I can tell who I'm going to like dealing with by looking at their language patterns, and the people that I generally get along with are people like you who, you know, you're intelligent, you read, you put yourself into like the right mindset of inviting success.
Stop.
Yeah. Stop. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Right? So
stop.
So the place to be, guys, when it comes to the givers, the takers, or the matchers, is clearly in the giving category, because that's where you really get what you want out of life. What is it? There's six things that you're looking for. Certainty, uncertainty. I can't remember all of them.
Certainty, uncertainty, significance, connection or love,
growth, and contribution, right? Growth and contribution.
Yeah.
So like giving back like fills up a lot of those areas, right? Like giving back to the world fills up all of those needs. Like you're contributing to other people, you're growing because you're contributing to other people, you're significant because those other people are celebrating you. You know, you got the certainty of knowing that you're helping, and you got the uncertainty of knowing what the heck am I going to do today to try to help these people out, you know? Like that's kind of like, if you could fill all those areas of life, that's where the givers live. You know, the takers, they don't live in the last two areas. They live usually in the certainty or the uncertainty area. You know, the matchers, they're not giving back, so they're not getting the growth and the contribution out there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, you know the people when you see them, and it's I think it's just that challenge of, there's always that temptation to be that self-centered focus, you know, focus on yourself, and we understand the truth of that, you know, it's better to give than receive and all that, but to be able to live that out, it takes awareness. It takes awareness of yourself. It takes a focus. It takes a vision to say, this is who I want to be. This is where I'm going. You know, that's the whole key with personal development, right? So you sort of see the people that if you're interested in really developing yourself, then that's, say, I'm going to go down. This is not an easy road. It's not a hard, you know, it's not the road that most people go down, but it's much more worthwhile. You know, to have that joy, to have those relationships, to have that love and connection and contribution in your life, and that's what we're, you know, focused on. That's why we're doing this show. You know, we want to see, you know, it fills our bucket to see people have that for themselves, to have that joy, to have that freedom, to have that abundance. So. You know, and maybe we can transition and talk a little bit more of that law of reciprocity. And you had a really awesome example from, you know, a few years ago. You want to talk a little bit about the group that ended up being what they became, like the highest performing charitable organization of their time, from an interesting strategy along with that lines of reciprocity?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. In the very, very beginning of the book, I think the first chapter is really about the law of reciprocity and kind of how it actually, functions. So like back, I can't remember the exact year. Is either in the very late 70s or the early 80s. The Hare Krishnas. They're kind of like a religious organization, and like what they used to do to try to raise money was line up on the side of the streets in these really weird garbs and do these like strange dances. And like you think about it, like you're walking down the side of the street in New York City or something, and you see these people that are dressed up like in like stuff that's just not like aligned with where you are in the world. Not to say that like there's anything wrong with it. That's like the choices that they make. We got all sorts of respect for that. But in terms of like raising capital, like if you're like an organization that's relying on donations, you're not like it doesn't work like that, because number one, people are looking at you, they think that you're a little strange, and number two, like you're not giving them anything of value. That's why I like street performance. Like they might make a little bit of money sometimes because like they're entertaining someone, right? Like people who are playing the drums and stuff on the street in Vegas. You ever walk down Vegas and you got people just like playing air guitar like to their tune, and they're making
Right.
some money because they're good at the air guitar, right? But like what they did, they struggled to make money, so they became the highest grossing charitable organization by switching their strategy up. So what they would do is they would literally just walk up to a random person, whether that be I think in an airport or just on the side of the street, and they'd be like, here I have a rose, and like someone would unknowingly take the rose, and they go through the little spiel, and I say, here's the thing, you don't have to give us anything, but all donations are welcome, right? So someone's like, all right, here, have your rose back. I don't have any money. No, it's yours. Come on, man, just take the rose back. No, that's your gift. That's my gift to you. Again, like you don't have to contribute anything. You could walk away right now. And people would be like, God dang it, here's my wallet. Here, have $5. Gee, just like because you like the law behind that is like when you give something of value to someone ahead of time, it's easier to receive charitable contributions in the form of a payment, right? Like we're all in business, we all need to make money, and we shouldn't be ashamed of asking for money for providing value into the community. I think like that's one of the things that people struggle with is they sometimes feel like they don't have that value to offer, so they're scared to ask for the cat, what is it, the transaction, right? They